everybody, it is Karen from Are You Prepared Mama? And today I'm going to give you a list of reasons why I am looking forward to moving back into the suburbs. The first thing that I'm looking forward to most about moving back into the suburbs is financial security. Living out here in the country has had so many different expenses that we hadn't been planning on. Some we planned on putting in a big garden, and we absolutely were able to do that. But there were so many expenses that we hadn't planned on. Over the course of our 2 years here, we have had to replace the sump pump. We've had to replace our hot water heater. We've had to add a water softener. We've had to replace our outdoor electrical panel because the pole that it was on literally collapsed. We've had to replace our indoor electrical panel. We've had to replace both of the air conditioning units and both of the furnaces in the house. And that's just things that we weren't planning on doing. We have also added brand new flooring throughout our house. We've added a new sink. We've added all new appliances. We have added a wood burning stove. We have added the garden. Like I say, we were planning to do that, but there were so many things we just did not expect. So having financial security, or more financial security of moving back into town, is going to be a good thing. The other thing that most people don't realize is that general expenses are just so much more out here in the country. Our water costs us 2 to 3 times what it did in the city per month. Our trash costs us about 4 times what it did in the city per month. So besides water and trash, we have propane. So we don't just have electrical. Like in the city, we had our electric and gas were together. Out here in the country, our electric is separate from our gas. And so we have to put propane money aside every month, as well as so every month we have a sinking fund where we would put money for propane aside, as well as having to pay our electric bills. And then if you want to either upgrade anything on your property, or if you want to add something new to your property, that's another expense. So normally you just think about, okay, what are your household expenses? But there are a lot more expenses than that you have to take into consideration. So I am looking forward to having a greater sense of financial security, a whole lot. Another thing I'm looking forward to is not having to drive as far to get everywhere I want to go. Since we've been out here in the country, our gasoline bill for our vehicles has gone up from about $250 a month to about $800 a month some months. Some months it's closer to $600, some months it's closer to $800. So being closer into the city, I'm looking forward to not having to pay as much for my gasoline each month. Another thing is just the amount of time that I spend in the vehicle. If I have to go into town, we're talking it's a minimum of an hour, probably a good deal more than that, because it takes me 20 or 30 minutes depending on where I'm going in town. So the time there, the time back, the time that I spend, that's a lot of time that I can save by moving back in toward the city. Something else I'm looking forward to about moving back in toward the city is having neighbors again. And I know that most people think being out in the country, oh, that's nice not having neighbors. And in truth, we really don't have neighbors out here. We have one family that is just to the east of us that we can see from our farm. And then the farm that is just to the west of us, we can't even see their house from the farm on a normal day, unless it's wintertime and all of the leaves are off of the trees. So I look forward to being near people again. I enjoy being able to say hi to people. I enjoy waving to my neighbors. I enjoy getting to interact with them a little bit more. So it's something else that I'm looking forward to about moving back into the suburbs. One of the other things that we have learned about being out in the country is that adapting what is already here actually costs more money than building it from scratch in most cases. And when you are building it from scratch, you do the research, you know what you need. When you're adapting things, you just think that they're gonna, for the most part, they'll just work out for you and it's just a couple of quick changes, and that's not the case. So I'm looking forward to moving back in toward the city, in the suburbs, and starting things from scratch. We learned a lot. We learned a lot when we were working on our garden. We're going to take some of the things that we have learned and we're going to upgrade our garden. We're also going to do chickens, but we're going to purchase an already but we're going to purchase an already made coop so we don't have to mess with one that isn't adequate or falling apart or needs repairs and things like that. So knowing that we're starting from scratch will actually be easier for us. Something else I'm looking forward to about moving back into the suburbs is having a basement again. It has been so hard to live out here in the country and not have a usable basement. Yes, we do have a root cellar. It is considered a basement, but to have a usable basement again, I am really looking forward to that. We have had to find other creative places to store our food storage and to store some of our other supplies. Even though we have a huge Morton building, it's 1,800 square feet, it just doesn't do the same as a basement would. So I am so looking forward to having a basement again. Another thing I'm looking forward to about being back into the suburbs is a little bit smaller house. And in some ways that makes things a lot harder, but in some ways it's going to make things easier because I am going to be able to keep it up easier. It's going to take less to keep it clean. And plus the fact that in the next year we are likely and the fact that in the next year we're likely losing 2 of our kids to college. So we don't need as much space. And if you're wondering why we're going to move back into the city, I'm going to leave you another video over here that explains some considerations of living in the country that you may not have thought about before. Don't forget to subscribe and to like this video so that you make sure you see all of the content that we produce so that you too can be better prepared. You've got this, Mama.